All right, reporting live for another episode of Tiny Microphone. Today we got Dre here with us, and we're going to be talking about the virgin experience from the dad's point of view. So, I know you had two kids, so you got two different experiences, so you can do them both at once or just like individual, But what would you say like the experience was like in the hospital, just watching or being there, just the whole thing, like as a whole?
In the hospital, let's see, this is time. In the hospital, actually the hospital was just as bad as everything else. Like and what's worse is because being a dude, it's like you're not really even there. Nobody really is paying attention. Nobody cares what you're thinking, what not. It's just like, the baby and the mom, which makes sense. So it's like, since we not pregnant and we don't feel none of that, people just like, man, get out the way or just do what you need to do, right? But it's like, you don't have to be pregnant to like be depressed or to be like, man, I don't know what's gonna happen. So for me, I was just like, it was just weird. Like I didn't want nobody talking to me, and I was just like, because everybody to me was just being like typical, like they was pre-recorded, like, oh, congratulations, but then at the same time they're like, your life is over. How you feel about it? And you just like, what did you just say to me? Like, I don't think people was really realizing how they wasn't being real. So since people wasn't being real, I was just like, I wanted everybody out and just be me, the mom, and the baby to a degree, because I'm like, people want to be real, or they just want you to have a certain feeling. So for the first kid, it was more just uncertainty. So even in the hospital, I was just more like, I don't really know what to expect. I'm just trying to make sure that my girl is good and the baby come out healthy. Like, so it just kind of boiled down to that. I didn't care about like how I felt. I wasn't thinking about it, but people kept asking stuff like that, and I'm like, that's not my concern. But so that was kind of the first one, and then that's just like the hospital. But like I said, that was just the icing on the cake of the whole experience, because everything is like, forget about you, your feelings and stuff don't matter because you ain't pregnant. But we go through everything mentally, but we don't, and people just think that we don't have no changes, but really, like, you go through these things where you get these urges. Like, I just felt like I had to save up and prepare,
Right.
and people just think that's random, but I'm like, no, because even before she was pregnant, I was getting the urge where we'd be like, oh, I gotta get my hustle on, or you in grind mode, but really that'd be like indicative that something's about to change, and people just don't pay attention to it. So it was just kind of like that, because I would say things like, I don't want this baby, but then people are like, what? How could you say this? Like, well, think about it. Like, everybody's saying this is the worst thing that could happen, So I'm like, no, but I'm like, I never for once thought I wouldn't be an active father. But you can't be real with people because they just like, you can't say that. And I was like, well, then don't talk to me, because I'm gonna tell you.
Crazy stuff like
Yeah. So I'm like, but so people would take it wrong and be like, you can't say that, you're gonna make the mom feel this way. I'm like, but you didn't ask me how I wanted to make her feel. You asked me how I felt, so I'm just being real. And all it would take is somebody like to simply, like, an older man who probably would have experienced it, just like, hey, those feelings will go away, don't trip, that's normal. But people won't be real, so they just like, don't think like that. But and it's like, well, so like, I'm the only person that think like that, which I know ain't the case. So then basically the first experience was just kind of whack, in my opinion, because it really wasn't nothing catered to or geared to making sure that I was prepared for it or what I was going through, because it's just, you gotta pray to deal with it. And it's like, of course I know that, but it's gotta be more to it than just accept your responsibilities. Like, we want to do good. The second one was way different because it's a 10-year gap. So the second one, I was probably more in tune with the first one because I was so uncertain. The second one was more like, I know what's about to happen. So it was like, I was probably even more hands off to a degree, which would seem weird. But at the same time, I feel like I was more prepared, so it was better. So going to the hospital, just being more aware of like, no, you're not doing this with my baby, you're not doing this with my wife. I felt comfortable. Like, nobody could tell me that I needed permission for this to be my kid. Like, I don't need the mom's permission. Like, that's my baby as far as I know, unless somebody tell me otherwise, and I don't need no right to nothing. So I was telling people stuff like, that's already my kid. So it's like, nobody could tell me it ain't your body. I'm like, I don't care about none of that. Like, you didn't just miraculously had this baby, and if so, then I can leave.
Right.
So, because it ain't mine. So it's like, if you want to go there, fine, but it's a win-win for me. So I'm like, so this either 100% my kid, or just leave me out of it and don't come for no child support or nothing. So that's when it got real for them, because I was literally talking to the doctors and everybody like this, like, who y'all think y'all are? Like, don't tell me nothing about no paperwork.
Right.
You know, you ain't feeding my kid that when they come out. You ain't doing this, so, and I'm not trying to tell her what to do, but I am gonna give my input.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, don't eat that, or you gotta be mindful of that. Don't take these. I don't think that's healthy for the baby, because it is our kid.
Yeah.
Like, we conceived that kid together, and you know, the man is the seed and the woman is the house. It's just the way that they go. So I'm like, yeah, I planted my seed there, so I want to make sure you watering it right. You know, it's that simple. But so yeah, so the second one, I think the experience was better only because I had the experience, and I was keeping it real with myself, not just trying to be like, yeah, everything's good. I was like, it's gonna be some ups and downs, but at the end of the day, they rob us of the experience of, like, once we hold the baby and start connecting with it, it's different for us, you know, because we don't have that connection. It ain't in our belly.
Right.
So you got to try harder to try to connect, and sometimes you got to wait till the baby born for that to happen, and then you go through that phase of really connecting. Like, you can touch the belly and all that, that's cool, but once the baby's there, it's like all that stuff go away, and you know that you're gonna be. So I felt like I felt more like I was obligated, and I felt more connected, so that made me put more into it, basically. But yeah, that was it. And then after that, I'm like, we can do this a whole bunch of times, because I'm like, I get my place now, and I'm not insecure about, like, you know, my rights to the kid, or do I have say so? Because I'm like, nah, that's my kid, unless my girl say this ain't your baby, it's mine from the day of conception. Forever. So
yeah, that's real. That was perfect. I often try to make sure I'm super inclusive with the dads, because, like, for one, I always have to let them know, like, I'm not here to take your place. Like, I'm really here to do the both of y'all. And so it's like, sometimes it can be hard. I'll notice when they have that, like, standoffish thing, because they kind of feel like I don't have the right to say nothing, you know what I mean? And I'll be having to tell them, like, get in there, tell her, you know, give her some ideas, give her some suggestions. And the same with the doctors, like, yeah, they talking to her because it is her body, but you can jump in and be like, nah, you know, like, that don't sound safe, that don't sound right. So it's definitely, like you said, I think man to man, it's really needed for other dads to get in there to be able to be like, so that how you had that second experience, they can have that the first time, that confidence and all of that come with it. Because, like, yeah, we just know how the hospitals are and how it go. But that's what's up, because I mean, yeah, that's actually it.
Don't let them play you. Even the women, not to say you got a bad one, but, like, don't let nobody make you feel like you don't have a say so. Like, yeah, they don't have to respect it because it is a woman's body, but your words matter, you know, and you got to take that stance. Like, if you want me to take care of this baby and you want me to be a part of this baby life, you got to respect me as a parent, not say I don't got the rights, or you got to say so because the state gave you permission. But like I told them, I literally told the doctor, the state didn't give me permission to make the baby, so I don't need your permission to take care of it or say it's mine. So, and the nurse literally walked out. And I was like, I don't care, you know, like, I checked everybody, but I didn't do it hostilely. I wasn't yelling, like, you know, because they was out of pocket.
Right.
And then they wonder why so easy to walk out, because everybody say it ain't yours, you just responsible for it. That don't make no sense. So don't let nobody do that. And then understand, after the baby come, bro, you gonna probably love fatherhood. It's a whole new phase, and I think it's necessary. Like, we should crave fatherhood like anything else, really, because that's one of the biggest gifts that we have, is to be able to produce babies. You know what I mean? So taking care of our bodies, and then, you know, basically reincarnation over and over. It's eternal life, man, and it's fun. So I feel like once dudes understand that, they won't run from the responsibility as much. So
That was excellent, man. Well, yeah, I mean, you answered everything I was gonna ask, so so that was perfect. But I mean, you got anything else to add? Because I think that was perfect for me. That was
I got a tiny mic.
Tiny Mike.